Batman's on Black Friday.
I'm not afraid. You will be. You will be. So today I get to interview my man's Jadarrel Belser, who is an actor. Someone I met at one of the jobs that I had actually had hired him for this particular job. And back then, we're talking maybe mid 2000s, he was someone that was acting at that point, but just it seems had the job for the sake of being able to pay the bills, which is obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but is a thing that people do when they're creatives. You want to get into this space, but it doesn't pay the bills quite yet to that big catch. So you have to do a job for the sake of getting through. So I'm just waiting on him right now. Up, there you go, right there. There you go, right in the waiting room. First off, hey, man, how you been, man? Since I was telling my people that I knew you from back in, like, say about, and I ain't gonna say the name of the company because they ain't paying you or me, but mid 2000s.
I've been good, dude.
What got you into acting?
Well, to be honest with you, I've always wanted to be an actor in my entire life, man.
Okay.
Like, as far as I can remember, mainly because I just love television. I love movies, and I say this all the time to people: the reason I'm an actor, the reason I want to be an actor, is because of In Living Color.
Really?
I wanted to be on that show so bad because, like, I was kind of a chubby kid. I wasn't really good at sports. I didn't really have much going for me, but I was funny. And I always had a good facility for remembering dialogue. So I would watch In Living Color. I would say In Living Color jokes to my friends and do the voices and all that stuff. They'd be like, "Oh man, that's funny, dude, this stuff." And I got friends because of it. So I just started getting that little bug on me too. Like, and then I've always been like that, even like with Looney Tunes. Like I will watch entire Looney Tunes and be able to give you all the dialogue and all that good stuff and be able to recite them from memory. I've always been like that.
I've done school plays before, and I remember I had to remember all of my lines. So I would imagine that's a skill, obviously, because not everybody knows how to do that. Is it just this? Okay, so say someone doesn't know that, doesn't have that skill, and they wanted to get into acting. What would be the best way to say memorize lines?
Actually, one of the best ways I learned was actually at the job we did, cold reading scripts. Remember, we would call people and have the code read a script, and then like you go about whatever reaction they give you. That is one of the best ways I've learned to remember dialogue because the fact that number one, you have to change your reaction depending on the person's response. Like, hey, they don't like it, okay, so whatever, or like do like, oh, well, we can do this for you, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's a good way to learn. Also, just I'm trying to think of anything particularly special because of the fact that like it's hard for me to explain because I've always been able to do it just myself.
Okay.
So, but cold reading scripts like we did for telemarketing, that's a good way to do it. Also, a good thing that helps is there's a great book called The Power of the Actor. The author, it's a female author, but the author's name was off. I can't get off the top of my head. But what another thing would do that would help with that is learning the motivations of the characters, learning all the characters, learning the motivations, learning your character, learning your relation to them. And also, whenever you're doing a scene, what is your motivation for the scene? Like, just think about the scene itself. Like, what are you trying to get across? And it does affect your acting, because like what am I trying to do in the scene? Am I trying to get him to do something? Am I trying to not do something? Am I trying to get somebody to, say something or not say something? It affects your acting, and also, it like makes it more real. Like, I'm trying to get this person to do this thing, so I'm going to act as such.
Okay. Typically, you hear those typical stories of people that'll move to LA from wherever they're at, and they're on their last dollar and all that other, not to say it's false, but a lot of people say that. And I know that as being a creator who's trying to get in a creative space where you're actually being paid, you're going to have to do side gigs and things like that to pay the bills. But when an opportunity comes, you have to jump because that opportunity might make up that difference plus, right?
Yeah, that's why a lot of actors are in jobs where you can easily say, I'm not doing this today, I got a gig. Like, a lot of actors are Uber drivers. A lot of actors are like waiters. A lot of actors are, temp staff at like certain places. Like, so whenever they get a gig and it comes up, you just leave that like that. It's not that big an issue. Go do that. Usually these gigs don't pay that well,
Right.
but when you get the other gig and saying that it helps supplement the income and whatnot.
Okay.
Me personally, I've been blessed that I actually am a veteran. I get disability, so that I can really afford to just have a part-time job and spend the rest of my time getting gigs.
Also, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Thank you for your service. All right. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the most electrifying, the most entertaining, and the downright most incredible channel on YouTube, the Inky Mann channel, where motivation meets gluttony, where Vegas meets victory, and where your love for the Patriots meets its match. Don't miss out on the fun, the food, and the fanaticism, because life is too short not to laugh along with Inky Mann. Subscribe now to the Inky Mann Show channel.
Y'all better give us some of this pimping.
So I noticed, there's some clips I had found, and then I'm going to be popping into the screen for sure. How do you get gigs besides? No. What is the process for getting gigs? I seen you on the Humble video with Kendrick Lamar, and I see you in Abbott Elementary.
There you go. My man. Big shout to my man JD.
On the grill. All right. How do you get those gigs?
Well, for most actors, like I'll probably say the best way to get it is like if you can find an agency, get with an agency. Most agencies get you like good parts, but really out here in LA, there's a website called LA Casting, where they have listings of different roles or whatever, and you can go in there. You can submit yourself, get yourself some nice headshots, put up a little resume of stuff you've done, and if you fit that part, you can submit yourself. If they like you, they hit you back like, hey, we saw your thing, we like your look, are you available this certain time, whatever. They'll hit you back if they're interested.
Okay.
So that's how I get the vast majority of the gigs I've gotten in the last 10 years because of LA Cast, and I cannot recommend it enough.
So if you didn't have an agent, so then let me ask you, how did you get your very first one? Was it that same technique or something different?
This was beforehand. When I first started, I was still living in San Diego. This is well over 10 years ago. I didn't know really much about LA casting, so I get my first gigs through Craigslist.
Get out of here. They still do that?
Well, they did when I first started. I don't know if they're still doing it. I haven't needed it in years. But when I first started, my first gigs I got through Craigslist. I would say the vast majority of like my first year or two were Craigslist gigs. And a lot of them were in San Diego. Actually, my first professional gig was in San Diego.
Wow. And the writer's strike. The writer's strike.
Right.
I was watching I saw you online in picketing and a whole nine. What was the basis? And then I have a question that's going to extend off of this. What was the basis of the strike?
The basis of the writer's strike is because of the fact they were getting not very well compensated for, say, like streaming shows. They'll get like billions of views, but the writers won't see nothing of that. That's why they struggle. And then on top of that, there's been growing trends with AI in terms of like taking over for certain people's jobs, both writing and acting. That was a sticking point for both the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild. So that's why they both started to strike together in solidarity. Now, of course, the writers people got their stuff taken care of well over a month ago. So, and then the actor strike just ended up just a couple of days ago.
Okay.
But the main issue for both of them is generative AI.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, like, say you're doing a gig, and part of that gig has them scanning your image or like recording your performance or whatnot. They can take that image and that performance that you put into the little AI generator and create basically a you for them to use over and over and over again, and they don't have to pay you for that.
So there are things that we watch now where that has been going on, like the real person is not in the show.
I've seen podcasts that do that now. They actually have a podcast I think called Dudesy, where the whole thing is generative AI. And also in terms of the movies, there's been a lot of that lately, particularly like the big movies like The Flash. I think there's a couple of like is one portion of The Flash where it's like time traveling. You see the images of like Christopher Reeve
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage actually was very upset about that because they didn't ask him to use his image. They just did it. So
Okay.
that
When they had him as like Superman or something, right?
yeah, he had a failed Superman back in the 90s. It's kind of become an urban legend thing. Well, they decided to put it in the movie, and like I said, they didn't tell him.
I remember that scene because I was thinking to myself, I don't remember him as a Superman.
It didn't go past the development stage. There's a lot of pictures that leaked of it online, particularly how horrible he looked in his costume, and they used that as the basis of this image that they used for this movie. His long hair, ill-fitting costume is as soon as even back in the day, I remember when that rumor came about. I was like, why Nicolas Cage? I think what it was, he got a little buff for Con Air.
Okay.
And I guess they figured, oh well, you guess most of the time maybe he could be Superman. Like, and it was Tim Burton too, so like he liked to do weird people as his superheroes because remember he did Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
People hated him for making that choice.
Really?
But Keaton turned out to be a fantastic Batman. Even though he's so small, it's the costume that makes him look like a superhero. But he's just a small, average-sized guy. I think Tim Burton thought he could strike lightning twice by using Nick Cage as Superman.
Okay.
Like I said, it didn't get past development.
I'm out, yo. I'm out, yo. Out, yo.